Yes, when you start doing greens, it's a job, but the end results bring so much joy. We have mustards and we have turnips. Mustards and turnips, yeah. We're gonna take these, we're gonna cook these. Most families know you can't cook a handful of these. Because, yeah, even though we're under quarantine, somebody will come to the door and just tell you, can you pass me some through the door? I won't come in. Just let me come to the door and you put me some in a bowl. And you know what? In the spirit of giving thanks, how can you refuse somebody some delicious down home? So I was asked, how do I prepare greens? Well, first of all, you have to pick your greens. You pick your greens and you're going to need, I use smoked turkey. Some people use fatback, pork, or bacon or whatever. But I use turkey necks, turkey wings, turkey legs, things of that nature. And first you rinse them off, and I've rinsed those off. And then also I use a clove of garlic, chop it up really, really fine so the garlic won't be overpowering. And I use a whole onion. Also, when I do my greens, I pick them and I take the thickest part of the stem off, okay? But you do need some stem. On some of them, I don't take it all the way off. If you notice on this one, I left a little bit up there, okay? And the reason I did that is because the nutrient is in the green, okay? And, you're going to pick these greens. Your finger's going to turn green. It started out good. Been picking greens for a little while here because I had a substantial amount. But also then you're going to take these. Now, these are mustards, and I have mustards and turnips. Now, collards are a little bit thicker. When I do collards, I take them. Then, you're going to wash them, of course. And I take usually about 3 or 4 of the collards, and I roll them together based on how thick they are. I roll them like this. Roll them like this, and then I roll it smaller. Then I take the knife and I cut it in small sections so that they won't be too thick. Now, these are mustards and turnips. Mustard and turnips, when they shrink down a little different. So I still cut these, but I don't cut these as small because they're going to be small. But I like my greens not to be too big. I mean, for me, they're more palatable, and it's more palatable for people. Some people just don't like food that's real big. It's hard for them to chew and digest. And so that's what I do. So I hope that helps. And of course, you put your seasoning in it. Some people like to put garlic powder, garlic salt. I try not to use too much salt, but I do use Accent, Mrs. Dash, seasoned salt, things of that. But I try to be moderate, but I let the smoked turkey bring a lot of flavor into the food, the garlic, the onion. So that's just a tip on how to do some greens. All right, hope that helps. Okay, these are the neck bones. You boil your neck bones, okay? And then what you can do once you boil them, I like to pull the meat off. You pull the meat off. Let them boil and let the juice boil down in them. And like I say, you pull the meat off. Greens pretty much will make their own water, but also I like to add a little water from what I have boiled this in. And I leave one whole and just put it in the pot to cook in there, but the other 2 I will pull the meat off of, okay? Okay, here are the turnips. They're cut up. I cut them up nice and small. This is the meat. Now, what I did do, so then you're just gonna take them, see right here? And see, when you put them in the pot, you have the meat, and you have this in there. And here's my onions. See the onions in here as well? Here are the onions. So you have your onions in there and you have your meat. So then what you do, you have that in there, then you just add more meat across the top. Okay? So then, I took this bone, I took a lot of the meat off, but then you just put that bone in there and let it cook. And as the greens cook down, what will happen, the juice and the flavor from that bone will be in there. Okay? And it should be, yeah. So that's how it's coming along, okay? So I gotta let it cook down. And I'll be able to show you what it looks like at the end. Like I said, I don't like my greens real big. Even when you cook turnips, some people cook turnips and they don't like to cut them. I even cut my turnips and my mustards so they'll be smaller, and they just To me, they look better on the plate, and it's easier for people to eat them and enjoy them as well. Okay? All right. Mustards and turnips with smoked turkey, onions, and chopped garlic. Okay, you will need some Mrs. Dash, accent, Lowry seasoning. Now, these are the three main things that I put in there. Of course, again, you're going to put your onions, which are chopped up, and your garlic. You can use garlic powder or garlic salt, okay? Or you can use onion powder, onion salt. But I like to have fresh onions and fresh garlic along with these, which is Mrs. Dash and accent along with Lowry seasoning salt, okay? So these are some of the other products we put into our greens, okay? So we add these in there. Okay, here we go. These are the mustard and the turnips. As you can see, they're still cooking. They're not all the way done, okay? And some of them are a little bit lighter than others because I just stirred them up from the bottom. You know, when you cook them and you turn them over, the ones on the top are not as, there's a long stem. I didn't cut that stem small enough. I'm going to have to cut it. Okay, but yeah, there we go. And you see the meat continues to come off the bone. So yes, there's the mustards and the turnips. All right. Okay, guys, now I gotta go do a little more cleanup. I cleaned up as I went, but there's a little more cleaning that I need to do. All right, these are, again, mustards and turnips. So these are the finished mustards and turnips. And you see how the meat is in there? And since I did cut them, they're not real long, they're not real stringy, okay? And this is how it looks. You know, the stems aren't too long. And that's how the meat looks. And let me see. They are, delicious. And guess what? That's without hot sauce. Absolutely delicious. The meat is nice and tender. There's a good amount of liquid under there. It's not too much liquid. And they're not too long. They're nice and tender. They're not seasoned and flavored nicely. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to put this on my plate alongside my other good food. Okay, guys.